Hey, New Life Church. My name is Josh. This is my wife, Lacy. You might not recognize us. We're kind of new. We moved to Arkansas in December of 2020. Our three boys and our dog. We ended up here. We came here for one reason, to serve at New Life Church. And we have completely fallen in love with the state of Arkansas, with New Life Church, with the staff, with the congregation, everybody. And a big reason for that is because of the foundation of this church. It's built on relationship. Pastor Rick and Michelle were very smart 20 years ago and built a church based on relationships. It's actually one of the core values, which is we believe in life-giving relationships. Mm-hmm. And the backbone of that, the heartbeat of that, is life groups. So today we're going to talk a little bit different. It's not totally a devotional, but it's more of a pep talk for life groups. We're going to give some vision behind it. This weekend, at all the campuses, we're rolling out our fall life groups, and we're going to give some vision and then some how-to at the end. But first I want to talk about Colossians. Paul in chapter 3 is giving some sound advice, some Christian living advice. If you're a believer, if you're a new believer, if you if you're an old saint, this applies to all of us. And he goes through and he says, you need to set your mind on things above the earthly things that we can see around us, but set your heart on things above. And he goes through after he says that and says a bunch of things that we're not supposed to do, and you can read that in chapter 3. But later on in verse 12, he gives the things that we do need to do and the kind of spirit we need to have, with one final thing in chapter 14. So look at this on verse 12.
Okay, so put on then as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience, bearing with one another, and if one has a complaint against another, forgiving each other. As the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive.
And then right here, this is the big one.
And above all these, put on love, which binds everything together in harmony.
Yeah, Jesus talks about love all the time. Even right after, at the Last Supper, Judas had just left the table to go sell him out. And Jesus tells his disciples, one of the greatest things you can do is love each other. By this, they'll know that you're my disciples. Mm-hmm. And so you can love somebody without being in a relationship with them, but it's hard. Mm-hmm. The best way to love somebody and the best way to receive love is to be in a relationship with someone. You're going to go through stuff in your life. You're going to go through pain. You're going to go through heartache. You're going to go through joys and excitement, celebrations. And if you don't have anybody to share those with, the good and the bad, that's not a great spot. And so we have plenty of opportunity to do that. But I want to talk about our story a little bit.
Yes.
10 years ago, I was pretty resistant to joining a life group, and Lacy pushed and pushed and pushed, and here, you can tell the story.
So yeah, our story is not unlike a lot of people that you might talk to regarding how a life group has changed their life. So we've been in ministry for almost 20 years, almost the entirety of our marriage. And that puts you in a position where it's just a little bit awkward to join a life group. And it was for us in the beginning. I knew that Josh was spending a lot of his time encouraging people because he knew that's where they were going to get fed. That's where they were going to grow. That's where they were going to be held in relationship and in covenant and be known and loved well. He was encouraging people to do it, but we weren't doing it ourselves. Yeah. And so there was a simple ask from some really incredible life group leaders, and we made a very hesitant yes response. It was hesitant, but God used it in a mighty way to change our lives. And I would just say to you, if you're on the fence about this, allow God the opportunity to be faithful. One of the things in even moving here across the country for us just recently was being able to see God's faithfulness in a new way. This is a way for him to exhibit his faithfulness to you. New Life is a large church. We're a large community with a lot of people. And part of the way that it can feel less massive is by being in a life group, being connected to individuals, people who are involved in your life, involved in the ups and downs, and who can do life with you. It's really, really important. And it changed our lives forever. Our very best friends in life are people we did not know before we stepped foot in a life group for the first time. It changed our lives, it changed our children's lives, and it can change your life.
The best thing you can do now is get signed up for a life group, and there's a couple ways to do that. One is in person. So this Sunday, next Sunday, it'll be very obvious how to sign up for a life group. We're doing life group launches across the state, and so just come and you'll figure it out to one of our campuses. Or online, you can click on newlifechurch.tv, and then at the top of that page, there's a tab that says Next Steps. Click on that, scroll down to Life Groups. You'll select what campus you're at, and then there's demographic ministries. You can just scroll through and find the group that's perfect for you. But the most important thing is find a group. We're actually starting a group. We're not hypocrites. We're gonna start a group this fall as well, because we can't wait to get back into a life group, because we've been missing that. Final thoughts?
Yes, so I would just say join a life group. This is a great opportunity, again, for you to give God room to move in your life and to really show up in a new way. If you've been in a life group before and you haven't been in this season, there's no better time than now to get back involved. If you've never been in one, take a leap of faith. It's going to be worth it. There is great return on investment of your time in this scenario. We love you guys, and we hope to see you this weekend at Life Group Launch.